Good afternoon. We'll call this regular board meeting for June 8th, 2022 to order at 4:30 p.m. Marcella, roll call, please.
Dr. Bankus? Here. Mrs. Daniels?
Present.
Mr. Jorgensen?
Here.
Mr. Loma?
Here.
Mr. Melpacum?
Here.
Mrs. Nelson?
Here.
Mrs. Ott?
Here.
So we have all 7 board members in attendance for this meeting. Please join me in a moment to observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Vice President Jorgensen, can you please make the motion to adopt the agenda?
I move that the Board of Education adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please, Marcella.
Dr. Bankus?
Aye.
Mrs. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Jorgensen?
Aye.
Mr. Loma?
Aye.
Mr. Melpacum?
Aye.
Mrs. Nelson?
Aye.
Mrs. Ott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The motion has been adopted. The agenda has been adopted. We do have executive session today scheduled for about an hour. Secretary Bankus, can you please make the motion to enter into executive session?
I move that the Board of Education convene an executive session to discuss legal advice per CRS 24-6-402 4B, particular matter, legal advice regarding contract negotiations with Mr. Michael Gall, negotiations per CRS 24-6-402 4E, particular matter, contract negotiations with Mr. Gall, in accordance with CRS 24-6-402 4-1, negotiations with superintendent finalist.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please, Marcella.
Dr. Bankus?
Aye.
Mrs. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Jorgensen?
Aye.
Mr. Loma?
Aye.
Mr. Melpacum?
Aye.
Mrs. Nelson?
Aye.
Mrs. Ott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. So we will enter into executive session and we will reconvene in the boardroom approximately around 5:30 p.m. Thank you. Okay, good evening. Welcome back. We are reconvening in public session and there is no need to modify the agenda after our executive session. For those of you who did not see the start of the meeting, the agenda was approved as presented. May I please have Sean Avery, Irvin Thomas, and Daniel Shelton to lead us, Dougherty students, by the way. They're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. And we are going to show some more appreciation to all of you. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Gleditch because it's awards and recognitions.
Thank you, and good evening, board, and good evening, community. Board members, our first recognition is going out to a Coronado teacher. I wonder who that could be. A Coronado teacher that's been awarded the Colorado State Air Force Association Teacher of the Year and Air Force Academy Teacher of the Year. Need I say more about Bryce McLean? Bryce, come forward, please. We are so proud of you. We also need to note that Bryce McLean is also instrumental in all of the work that happens at Coronado High School in relationship to the robotics program, and for many, many years. And he works endless hours to support our students in local and state and national competition, but more importantly, he makes our students do the work. He doesn't do it for them. So with that, I appreciate you and everything that you've done. Congratulations. And also, as principals in the audience, Darren Smith, and you know, teachers can't do what they do without strong leadership behind them. So Darren, thank you. I think we're going to be getting up and down quite a few times this evening. Our next recognition goes to the Palmer Chamber Orchestra, who qualified for the ASTA State Large Group led by Amanda Hessel. And board members, out of 42 ensembles that perform, Palmer's Chamber Orchestra was selected as one of only 18 to advance to the state. Congratulations. And Amanda, if you could come forward with your students, we would like to recognize you. Congratulations, and thank you for all you do. Give a smile.
I'm gonna try.
I can count to three.
Like,
2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Next, I'd like to recognize the Palmer Indoor Percussion and Winter Guard, who advanced to the state as well. The Indoor Percussion Program at Palmer High School, both directed by, in the Winter Guard program, both directed by Kaylin Ward, qualified for state championship. But board members, this means that all marching bands at Palmer High School, did you hear the word all? All marching bands at Palmer High School qualified for the state this year. Please come forward and receive this recognition. And we thought maybe we'd have a drum roll with this one at least. Is Caitlin here this evening?
I don't see it.
You know, well. Will you let him know that we were expecting the drum roll? But we appreciate everything that he does for us
Should we give
as
it to the
well.
principal?
Would you like to come forward and receive the recognition for him?
Sure.
Okay. Now we'll move on to Dougherty High School. We have, the Winter Guard for Palmer, okay. Winter Guard at Dougherty High School. Dougherty High School's Winter Guard earned third in the Rocky Mountain Color Guard Association competition. Will the Dougherty instructor please come forward, or instructors come forward as well? This is, what's really cool about this recognition is, gosh, not only did they earn third, but what they really earned is something that I value even more. They earned the Sportsmanship Trophy, which is a distinction awarded to only one group throughout the entire circuit, and it's voted on by the entire RMCGA student membership. Sportsmanship. Wow, incredible, and congratulations and thank you. It was fun.
Alrighty. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, one more, 1, 2. Thank you so much, Betty.
And our Dougherty Winter Percussion earned second in the Rocky Mountain Percussion Association competition, and they wrapped up their 2022 Rocky Mountain Percussion Association season, finishing second in their division, but more importantly, breaking the school's record. We talk about constantly showing growth and achievement, breaking the school's record for their highest score in program history. They were also recognized with the Most Improved Award, acknowledging the team and all of the RMPA with the highest jump in total score from the end of last season to this season. Please come forward and we recognize you and we appreciate, we have students with us, all that you do.
All right, on the count of 1, 2, 3, one more, 1, 2.
So congratulations to all of you. On behalf of the board, we are all proud of your achievements. Keep doing what you guys are doing, and have a wonderful summer.
Well, I had one more.
Oh, you do?
You don't know about it. But I wanted to take this time also to just give a shout out to every single student in this district who worked hard over the last 3 months to finish the school year strong. And I also appreciate the fact that their teachers, their principals, their parents, and everybody worked hard at making sure that our school year ended up with a strong note. So I wanted to recognize all students and families within District 11 as well. Thank you.
And thank you. The next item on the agenda, Dr. Glidich, do you want to talk about that?
This is the one I didn't know anything about. No, I don't have any board spotlight on excellence, and you recognize outstanding performances,
Okay.
but I don't know.
I'll take over.
Students, okay.
I'll take over. Well, this is because Dr. Glidich has been asking me for the past hour, and then he's been asking Marcella for the past 3 or 4 days, what is this about? What is this about? So, and he doesn't know anything about it. I'm really excited and thrilled to discuss this item on the agenda. Earlier this spring, the board revised the board operating manual, and at that time, one of the items that we added to the agenda was the board spotlight on excellence. The idea actually came from the time I served on the District Accountability Committee, and we added at that time the DAC spotlight on excellence to the monthly agenda, and the DAC recognized exceptional contributions by individuals to the advancement of our students, schools, and district, something that still endures and is part of the DAC agenda now. So the idea was extended by this board to recognize and celebrate outstanding contributions and successes of individuals and schools that directly help promote the overall district and board mission, vision, and priorities. So for the first time ever, under this category, the Board Spotlight of Excellence, under this category of Board Spotlight of Excellence, the board has a recognition for his lifelong dedication to public education, for his devoted commitment to all things District 11, for positively impacting and inspiring so many students and staff members over the years, for making a difference in the D11 community and in the entire Colorado Springs area. The board is delighted to shine the spotlight of excellence on Dr. Nicholas Glidich. So Dr. Glidich, this is our last board meeting of this academic year, so we wanted to publicly recognize you with a Crystal Glass Award, and I will read this, let me see. Board of Education Spotlight on Excellence, Dr. Nicholas Glidich. They shortened your name. I don't think they could fit Nicholas in there, so they have it as Dr. Nick Glidich in there. In recognition for your outstanding service to School District 11, for positively impacting and inspiring so many lives. And we also have some parting gifts for you. Picture from one of this and coasters.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. You got them? We wanted to take a group picture
Okay.
in the boat.
Come on down. Boys on this side, the girls on this side.
I'm swaying just a little bit more. All right. Oh, Carly. There you go. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2.
Thank you. So I'm going to open it up for my board colleagues if you have a comment to make for Dr. Glidich at this point in time. Dr. Bankes.
Dr. Gleditch, there are so many good things to say about your short time with us. First, thank you for stepping in and stepping up. Your affable demeanor has influenced the entire District 11 community. You stepped in to keep the district running smoothly, and it has done so with your leadership. You stepped up to set the tone for keeping students at the forefront of everything we do, every decision we make, every opportunity to serve our students better. We couldn't have asked for a better interim superintendent, and it's with deep gratitude that I extend to you our appreciation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Bankes. Anyone else? Director Daniels.
Dr. Gleditch, I first of all wanted to say thank you for giving me opportunities when I didn't even know that there were opportunities for me.
A long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but I am grateful that you remembered. I'm grateful that I have an opportunity to share just a little bit of time with you, even though I was hoping that it would have been time before, but you know, all things happen for a reason. And learning those reasons will take me a lifetime probably to figure it out, but at the same time, I'm grateful for the moment. I wish you the best in your journey and your family and the places you're going to go. And thank you for being willing to give us support and a backing when we weren't really sure of where we were going to go. So I'm grateful that you came out of retirement to do that. That's a big deal, by the way.
Yes, yes.
Because I'm sure you were having a good time.
Yes,
Along with
I
Dr.
love
Thurman
it.
and Glenn and so many other people who were in retirement, and you said, yes, you'll come back and help us. And with that note, I would like to acknowledge Dr. Thurman and Glenn as well. And I'm appreciative of all that you've provided for us in the last, well, for me, it's longer than what we've had physically, because I've had presence with you before now, and I was so looking forward to it. So thank you for just the small piece of presence for where we are. Enjoy. You deserve retirement.
Director Art.
Thank you, Dr. Glidich. Oh, you know, it's like the second time we're saying goodbye here, so good luck in your second retirement, and thank you so much. I really appreciate you stepping in for us.
Thank you.
Director Nelson.
So I want to address Dr. Glidich and Dr. Thurman. Just the very short amount of time that I've been able to work with both of you has been a treat. And it's just incredible to see your dedication to the students of District 11 and the hard work and overtime hours that you've been putting in these last few months are greatly appreciated. And you've accomplished a lot in a short time here. And I am very thankful for each of you, and I'm inspired by you. And I hope to grow up to be just like you someday. Thank you for your service to so many generations in District 11.
Thank you.
Well said. Director Loma.
Well, deja vu all over again. And I just want to appreciate you coming out. you provided a seamless transition, and that's not an understatement. You brought in your team, which is wise, because you can hit the road running. I can see the wisdom behind that. And so I appreciate everything that I've seen you do, and the present and the past. And I'm glad that you're not leaving town. You're still around. So you're stuck in Colorado Springs, and I hope that we continue to meet and do other things. But yeah, the D11 is eternally grateful for you stepping up, come out of retirement, and I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Director Jorgensen.
I'll round us out here, I think. Thank you
I
very
still
much.
have to speak.
Part's gonna go after me here. Thank you very much for stepping in. I know we were kind of scrambling to think about what we could do to bring stability and consistency in just the interim while we were out looking for our next person. And you did just that. You came in and didn't miss a beat and got out to schools right away and put your feet to the ground. And that was noticeable by many, including myself, right in the first meeting. So it's been great since. So thank you for your service, and yes, please go retire now.
Thank you.
Yeah, enjoy some time with your wife. That's what the message is. So, Dr. Gladich, I cannot thank you enough. I was trying to recall the first time I got to meet you and interact with you, and I think it goes back to the time I was a Scott Elementary parent, and I think I've shared the story with you because I blame you for getting me in the seat at some point in time, because I was part of the SAC out there, and I contacted you about staffing allocations and how Scott needed an extra FTE, and you responded, I think, through Ms. Callback, and one thing led to another. And lo and behold, before the school started, we did have that additional FTE. And I so enjoyed that interaction with you. I said, like, okay, I'm going to start volunteering on the District Accountability Committee. And then from the District Accountability Committee, I'm on the board. So I blame you for getting me here. But over the years, I have seen you. I have observed you interact with so many people in so many different circumstances, whether it's with your staff or the students or the community members. And one thing that is clear is the authenticity that shines through you. Okay. It's readily evident even the first day that you stepped in there and you were addressing our students. So one of the principals actually reached out to me a while back, and he was talking about how even in retirement you used to visit him in the schools, and this was just on your own time after retirement, and stopping in to just see how he was doing and giving some advice. So you don't know how much that means to our staff and principals when somebody like you stop in and provide that coaching and support that they need. So thank you for all that you did. And on a personal note, I cannot thank you again enough for picking up that phone about 3 or 4 months back when I called you on short notice. And it was just 5-day turnaround time, and you had a quick conversation with your wife, Nora, and you stepped into a situation which was most certainly challenging at the time, and immediately you brought a sense of calmness to the district, and it's going to be okay, a sense of healing. And like other board directors talked about, you were a constant presence in our schools, visiting. I think you visited all our schools in the past 3 months, and that's itself 58 schools, and in between juggling the negotiations with our employee groups and making sure we had a balanced budget and all the things that you did, and filling a lot of the principal vacancies in our schools. So I cannot thank you enough for all that you brought, and the graduation ceremonies. You were there, and one of the things that you talk about always is sealing that handshake to our kids, students, as they walk across those. So it was good to have you there at the graduation ceremonies, encouraging our next generation of students as they graduate. I wish you the very best, and wish your wife Nora the very best, best of health, and you are always welcome anytime back in this district to provide some advice or guidance or in any of our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. And Board of Education, thank you for your kind words. I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, you floored me here tonight. I didn't realize that what this was about. I was trying to figure out what document I was missing. But but thank you for your kind words. But also know that it was a pleasure. and I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed working with our kids and reconnecting and connecting with staff. And I don't want it to go without said that Dr. Thurman, when I called her to say, can I call a friend, and I asked Dr. Thurman if she would be willing to come in and support, I so appreciate what Dr. Thurman has done over the last several months in supporting our efforts to finish strong. And she accomplished quite a bit for us as well, and I do appreciate that. And the two of us will be finished, but Glenn will still be here on an interim basis, and we're mapping out a plan to present to Mr. Gall to figure out a way that we can support that position and get the district to move forward with a full-time leader in that area. But again, thank you for your kind words, but know that you can only do as much as those around you do with you. And we have a fantastic staff, and our system is running nicely, and we've got a lot of good things going on for all kids in our district. And I appreciate the opportunity to come back and be a part of that this year. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So we did this once, and that felt so gratifying. I'm going to pause, hit the rewind button, and repeat this all over again. So for the second time under this category of board Spotlight on Excellence, the board has another recognition for her unwavering commitment and service to District 11, for her professionalism, work ethic, and dedication to our students, for the countless hours she has invested in employee group negotiations, most important of all, for always treating everyone with dignity, respect, and human decency. The board is pleased to shine the spotlight of excellence on Dr. Mary Thurman. So I know several of you board members already expressed your gratitude to Dr. Thurman too, but if any other board members have anything to, Dr. Bankus.
Dr. Thurman, it has been my pleasure to work with you again. You have always been an inspiration and a leader from which all of us can learn something about our own leadership style, and I appreciate all that you have done for us, and thank you for coming back and stepping in and stepping up. You have brought to us this level of ease, and we know that it's not easy, that your quiet leadership speaks volumes. And so on behalf of the board and myself especially, I want to thank you for all that you've done in the short time that you've been here. And thank you for coming back.
Director Ott.
Thank you. Dr. Thurman, thank you so much for also stepping in and guiding some of our work over the last several months. And like Dr. Gleditch, and I know that you retired with the intent of spending time with family, so thank you to your family. And Dr. Gleditch, also thank you to yours. A few months sacrifice to keep us on the path. So thank you so much.
Director Daniels.
I to have words for your presence of what you've provided for the district for years of steadfastness and support. And it's only a couple of months that I've been able to be with you, and it has brought such a peace for me. And I'm grateful for that. And I do wish you the best with retirement and your family. And thank you for the sacrifice. The full picture sacrifice of what you've provided in life. It means a lot to have your leadership. Thank you.
Director Loma.
Well, Mary, thank you, Dr. Thurman. I was sitting here thinking about the list that I made. I don't know if you remember, I did several interviews. I think I interviewed even you, Dr. Gleditch. And I compiled a list of leadership qualities. And I use those to this day. And I've developed several classes to teach that, and it was based off both your conversations with both of you. And so I just want to thank you again for that. And your calm demeanor, but your leadership is always felt. You're proof that a leader doesn't have to be loud, just efficient, all right, and caring, really. And I appreciate everything you've done. And have a good second retirement.
Okay, seeing no further comments, Dr. Thurman, I don't know even where to start. I've known you as long as I've known Dr. Gleditch, and probably know you a lot more because you were my DAC contact when I was the DAC chair out there. So I've had numerous conversations with you and probably peppered you with a million questions. You were always patient, kind, provided guidance, and always steered me in the right direction. I don't think I threw rocks at your windows like Lyman Kaiser and Ed Poot used to do. It was before my time, before the time of cell phone when they had to come and throw rocks at you. But one conversation really, it was true. So they used to come at 6 in the morning or to meet with you and threw rocks at your window so you would let them into the building. One conversation stood out to me during that time, and you were the director of human resources and pretty much in charge of hiring and sometimes letting go of people too, and those tough conversations that you had to have with employees that you had to let go. You mentioned even when those tough conversations happened in your office, you always ensured that those employees left your office with their head held high. And that was really important to you. So when I talk about respect, dignity, and human decency, you embody that. So thank you. Your presence over the past 3 months, it's brought so much balance and thoughtfulness, even in the employee group negotiations. It was communicated by all the employee groups that your presence was appreciated at this time. So again, when the district needed you, you called in, you stepped in, and thank you for your dedication and commitment to District 11. You have this board's sincere gratitude and appreciation, and wishing you the best in retirement. Thank you for the both of you. And Dr. Gleditch, you were asking me at the beginning of the meeting, what are all the principals doing? Or you were asking me. The principals are here to to appreciate you. So I wanted to get that message to you. So,
thank you.
So yeah.
Thank you.
So they are here to appreciate what all you've done for them over the years. So thank you. Moving on to public comments. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with the norms and expectations. Our boardroom is quickly empty. So, hang on, guys. Maybe we'll have more surprises for you. So, but by now, you guys know the norms and expectations. Each speaker has 3 minutes, and the clock will be displayed by Ms. Hidalgo. And by the way, good to have you back, Maricela, in our board meetings after. So please monitor the clock and keep your comments for 3 minutes, and be respectful of the speaker that's speaking. And the the rest of it you know. So with that, the first comment, Jacqueline Robertson. General.
Good evening, Board of Directors, Dr. Gladich. My name is Jacqueline Roberson. I'm a teacher at Palmer High School, D11 parent, and CSEA leadership. I'm speaking today to remind the board of our collaborative union and district relationship. Our union is our teachers, and our role is to educate students, not firing teachers. Our master agreement guarantees fair practices for administration to evaluate and manage all teachers, including those struggling. The teacher's role is to educate student. The administrator's role is to manage staff. Our master agreement is the framework that guarantees fair management practices. We need to focus on improving and mentoring struggling educators, not firing in the midst of a teacher shortage. I'm sure we all have an experience in life, career, relationships, where we can reflect on someone that stepped in and mentored us in our struggles, and we can reflect back on how we have grown so much through that experience. We need to coach people up rather than coaching them out. I have my door open to pre-service teachers at CC and UCCS. I have actually spent the past 4 years working with UCCS Teach under a National Science Foundation grant to improve pre-service teaching at UCCS and across the state of Colorado. I've invested my spare time to better prepare science teachers and develop relationships between great teachers and our district. This is how I am making sure that great teachers are in our classrooms. I have regular mentee teachers working with myself and students so that they are prepared to come into classrooms. Our members, our union, our mentors. We work to improve instruction district-wide through Teachers Coaching Teachers, the D11 mentoring program, and our grade level and department PLCs. Our union is filled with inspiring educators that advocate for the profession. I'm here to remind all of us that our union dedicates energy and expertise in our D11 classrooms to improve teaching district-wide. We have a shared value. We want great teachers, and we want to improve weak teachers. We value this profession, and weakness impacts us all. Our union and contract support this. Please remember that our union is our teachers, and we want to improve the teaching profession, but hiring and firing is the role of our leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rhonda Heschel.
Hello, my name is Rhonda Heschel, and I'm a Coronado parent. I've made several comments from this podium in the past. However, there's one important point that I haven't shared, and I've been told that I should. So we all know it's a problem that students choice out of D11. So let me tell you about my experience. My son attended Chipeta Elementary, which is a feeder school for Holmes Middle School. Chipeta is the same distance from Holmes as it is from Eagleview Middle School in D20. Trailblazer is another D11 elementary school near Chipeta that sits even closer to the D20 border. Trailblazer is only 1.7 miles from Eagleview and 4.6 miles from Holmes. A lot of students at Chipeta choice out of D11 for middle school. So besides the convenience of location, what does Eagleview have that Holmes doesn't? Number one, a snazzy building. Eagleview was built in 1986 and is relatively modern. There's a nice glass walkway, the building's hallways are bright and wide, whereas Holmes was built in 1968 and needs improvement. In 2016, Holmes had to close early because the heating system gave out. The hallways at Holmes are narrow and built of dark brick. At a recent meeting at Holmes, another parent said that the courtyard, quote, feels like a prison yard. I wish people weren't swayed by pretty buildings, but that's the way it is. And unfortunately, it's not just aesthetics. Holmes' giant cinder blocks also create problems with internet connectivity and therefore create major problems keeping electronic systems and networks both functioning smoothly and up to date. The second thing that Eagleview has is an academic arts academy. It's a separate project-based curriculum within Eagleview, and students submit a portfolio when they apply. It attracts students from across D20 and is a draw for students from Chipeta and Trailblazer as well. So now let me tell you what Holmes has. Holmes has teachers that are passionate about teaching. My son always had an excellent academic experience. Holmes had a GT program with double accelerated math classes. Eagleview does not. Holmes and D11 in general make music more accessible. Students in band and orchestra don't have to come in before school for practices, as they do in D20. Band and orchestra take place during the school day, so students who ride the bus don't have to make special arrangements to get there. When my friend choiced her daughter into Eagleview because it had, quote, better facilities, her daughter had to change instruments so that she could still play in the orchestra. Holmes has a strong PTA that coordinates a long list of activities. And during the pandemic, Holmes had administrators, counselors come in and help talk to parents about the resources that they could use. Finally, Holmes has an amazing principal, Tony Carr. He offered our PTA consistent support. He's always visible. He came to Holmes so that he could work to improve the school in his community, and he really cares about the students. I'll email you the rest.
Thank you. Cheryl Saylor.
Good evening. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, please bless this board and all who are in attendance here today with the best interests of our children at heart. We are so grateful to be blessed with a group of board members who have the courage and tenacity to make the tough decisions that will truly benefit our children. Please keep them strong and safe to continue doing your work and your will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. My name is Cheryl Saylor, and I'm with the D11 Achievement Alliance. So after the prayer, there really isn't much more to be said. We so appreciate the efforts of our board in these last months in making some tough decisions to turn our District 11 around, facing in the direction that will better serve all of our children, whatever their needs may be. We're especially grateful for what appears to be a great choice for our new superintendent. We're looking forward to a bold and strong team effort to continue moving this district back on track to accomplish the academic excellence we are all looking toward for our children. With that being the primary focus, of course, we know the board will continue to look for ways to support and enhance special programs that provide rounded opportunities for all of our children, whether they are college-bound, headed for technical schools and careers, or maybe even looking to start their own business. We know District 11 has strong bones, as they say. There's a strong foundation here, with lots of opportunity for improvement, and with a strong and courageous board, as we have here, and a strong new superintendent, the community is looking forward to supporting you in new and creative ways that we know will be coming in the future. With this being the last board meeting of the school year, we want to wish you all a restful and rejuvenating break. You deserve it. You have all worked very hard and very much deserve this all too short vacation. We look forward to joining forces with you back here in the new school year. Can't wait to see what is in store for us. Thank you again for all of your hard work and commitment to our children. We really appreciate all that you do. And another thank you to Dr. Gleditch and Dr. Thurman for helping us through this transition period. So everyone, have a great vacation and a great retirement.
Thank you.
Lyman Kaiser. Mr. Lyman Kaiser.
I type them so I can read them. Lyman Kaiser, longtime community member. On behalf of many parents and community members in D11, I would like to thank you, President Milpockham, and the entire board for conducting a very thorough, professional, and transparent search and selection process for the new superintendent, while still keeping the district on track and meeting most of your newly established board priorities. In my 30 years of working with D11 boards, I have not seen a board work harder or with more purpose and dedication in the first 6 months of their term than this one. You have definitely finished the year strong, so thanks again. A key to that success has been bringing Dr. Gleditch in as interim superintendent, along with Dr. Mary Thurman and Glenn Gustafson in key support roles. They are definitely an A-team of D11 retirees and have kept the district moving smoothly forward during the past few challenging months. Thanks for recognizing Dr. Gleditch and Dr. Thurman tonight in your spotlight on excellence, since they are leaving us on June 30th. They definitely deserve it. Dr. Gleditch, when I watched you at that first board meeting after you were back, it was like stepping into one's pair of old comfortable shoes. You did not miss a beat after almost 4 years away, and I knew we were in good hands. Thanks to you and Dr. Thurman both for rapidly improving some challenging personnel issues at the principal and the assistant principal level, for working to resolve critical staff shortages throughout the district, for negotiating contracts with the 3 employee groups collaboratively with key new features beneficial to students, for bringing the staff together to document a multitude of training requirements and develop a master employee training schedule for 22-23, for conducting a thorough review of district plans for use of over $80 million in federal ESSER II and ESSER III funds, and for supporting the board through an extensive preliminary budget development process for the 22-23 budget, just to name a few. And Dr. Melpackham stole my thunder on this, but I still want to read it. I have a quick story on Dr. Thurman. In the early 2000s, before the days of school performance frameworks and district performance frameworks, Dr. Thurman, with the help of DAC accreditation, Ed Plute, and myself, led the development of the D11 accreditation contract with CDE. I quickly realized that the only time you could meet with Dr. Thurman was between 6 a.m. and 7:30 a.m. I did not have a cell phone yet, so I would come and throw pebbles at her office window on the second floor, south end of this building, to let her know I was here and to let me in for our meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. Your time is up.
Thank you.
I think we got the rest of the story. So, thank you. Mr. James Saylor. Ms. Teresa Null.
Thank you, Lyman, for being so tall. I had to adjust this microphone. Good evening, Board of Education, Dr. Gleditch and staff. I too thank Dr. Gleditch and Dr. Thurman for coming back to provide stability to our district and our community. Public service is an awesome responsibility, as I'm sure this board has learned. Tonight, though, I also want to recognize former D11 Board Director Norvell Simpson. He served his family, community, state, and nation with a love and joy so strong that his light still shines and affects me still today. So my condolences are to his family and his Colorado Springs community. And if you didn't know Norvell, you missed out.
Thank you, Ms. Null. That is all for public comments today. If you check the box asking administration to contact you, someone from administration will follow up and contact you. Moving on to special reports, board member reports. Are there any reports from board directors? Who wants to go first? Director Jorgensen.
I can go. Marcella, do you have that for me? Thank you so much. So we celebrated one teacher at Coronado. We have another teacher to celebrate here tonight. And I believe Ms. Roberson probably knows Ryan as a science teacher over at Palmer. But Ryan and I's paths have been intertwined numerous ways, both being Dougherty graduates, he in 2000 and myself in 2003. Both attending UCCS and practicing for physical chemistry. our senior years, and then winding up at Harrison School District 2 teaching for a little bit together, me at middle school and him at Sierra High School. Well, now he's at Dougherty and has been there for a few years now, but recently the American Association of Chemistry Teachers, which is a national scientific organization with more than 160,000 members, recently named him the 2022 Chemistry Teacher of the Year. And so one of our own D11 folks, yeah, we'll give him a quick round of applause if you don't mind. So, the Gazette came out with an article. This is from the Gazette's article, actually, and just a short snippet here of his work. It says that Ryan Johnson's teaching is fueled by his passionate belief in chemistry as a window to the world, and his work has not gone unnoticed. Similar sentiments as other science teachers in the building. Everything connects back to science. It's the way that we explain how the world works, and so his dedication to our students is evident. And so I just wanted to celebrate him and say that kudos to another teacher in our district. So that's my report tonight.
Thank you, Director Jurgensen. Stealing a line from Mr. Kaiser, you stole my thunder. Really? Yeah, I was going to talk about Mr. Johnson, and you talked about him, but that's good. I'm glad that we are able to recognize Mr. Johnson, and hopefully we can bring him back in August and formally recognize him in front of the board. And how cool is that, to have a Teacher of the Year at Coronado and another one at Dougherty? It just means that there are some amazing teachers in District 11. Director Nelson.
Hello, thank you all for being here tonight. I just want to speak to the board's priorities, and we want to provide the best possible education to students in District 11. Students must master subjects for lifelong success in reading, writing, math, civics, and learn critical thinking skills. Parents know their children the best, so we must empower them to come alongside and support their child's education. Ask any parent with multiple children if their kids have the same hopes, interests, or needs. It's not going to happen. So, of course, within a school district, we will see a wide range of skills and abilities. This is why it is so important that we focus on individual students, offering supports where and when needed, helping each student to reach their fullest potential. And in order to do so, we must equip our teachers, our amazing teachers, providing the resources needed to provide a top quality education. So it's with all of this in mind that the board created our priorities to guide our work. We are focused on student success, supporting students to reach their personal best and improving academic outcomes for all D11 students. Engaging with the community to build an environment of trust and transparency with taxpayer dollars. We recognize that parents choose to entrust us with their precious children to District 11, and we must provide an excellent education. Staff investment will create a culture that attracts, develops, and retains an exceptional team members. And continuing to collaborate on the vision for District 11 to be a top education institution, which will increase student enrollment. The future of District 11 is exciting. Let's keep students our focus as we continue to move forward. And I just want to say to everyone, have a great summer. I hope you get some time to rest and relax and come back looking forward to what the fall will bring for District 11. Thank you.
Director Art.
Thank you. So as part of District 11, we encourage lifelong learning. And so I wanted to mention the Educating Children of Color Diversity University that is this summer. They have a couple of sessions, June 20th to 24th and July 11th through 15. And they also have Diversity University 2 if you've already done the first one. And it's an opportunity to learn about, all kinds of topics. Go to educatingchildrenofcolor.org for more information. And also just wanted to wish folks a happy Pride Month. Oh, and have a happy summer as well, as Director Nelson said. Thanks.
Director Daniels.
Thank you. I just wanted to say congratulations to Adult and Family Education for their graduation. And it was wonderful to participate with them and see all of the graduates be acknowledged. I am always excited for that graduation because of just the, breaking barriers, tearing down all types of like stereotypes, and they just lead the way in letting us know it's not over until it's over. So I applaud every single person that was there that night who went far and beyond to grow and develop where they were and to succeed in their life success, not what other people call success for them, but their choice. And it was beautiful to participate. And yes, there's also some in-person diversity university classes that they're having this summer, so that's great as well. And have a great summer. I'm looking forward to getting some rest. Exec team, get some rest if possible. Educators, refill, refresh, all of that good stuff. Students, please, if you have anything that's residual from what's happened in the last year, I ask that you heal up and get ready, because it's not over for the remaining students. And yeah, looking forward to what's coming ahead in the next couple of months.
Director Bankus.
I want to take this opportunity, as many of you know, that my family circumstances have been difficult in the last few months, and I want to thank all of you, and my board members in particular, for the graciousness that you have shown me through this difficult time in my family. As we finish up this school year, and we finish it strong, we finish it with kindness. It was my great pleasure to attend high school graduations and seeing the youth that we have produced who are going out into the world, but more educated than when they walked in our doors, and that's our goal. Our goal is to make them well-rounded students so they can accept the challenges that come along in their way, so they can take advantage of the opportunities that come in their way. And it's because of the adults in this room and the adults in this school and the adults in their lives who make a difference for all of them. And so thank you to all of you. Thank you for the opportunity to serve on this board. Thank you for the opportunity to set goals and make those goals public so that we all can be working together, going in the same direction for the good of our students. Thank you. Enjoy your summer.
Director Loma.
Yeah, you know, when I decided to run, I told myself, have you lost your mind? And but I was you know, I always been involved in education. Started early childhood development school, a couple of charters, well, more than a couple. I had a private school at one time at the church, and that drove me crazy. And but I've seen from my perspective areas that needed to be improved. Now I know there were conflicting opinions, and that's the beauty of our country. So I made some promises. I told this is what I'm going to do if I get elected, and I think I accomplished everything I said I was going to do. I wasn't hiding anything. I was upset with the political movement that was taking place, and I wanted to get the politics out of it. Kind of ironic. They accused me of trying to bring politics in. I'm trying to get politics out. We just want to educate our kids. You know, we went through a strange time there. Just people who care about kids getting attacked. It was kind of funny. But I knew what I was getting into. I don't think they did. I did. And, but we made it. We're still here. We're still going to do the best we can for all kids, I believe. I think my friend, I should have wore the pin you gave me. I would have wore it. He gave me a pin, and it said, LGBTQ children deserve to be safe in school. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. We want to educate all kids. I don't agree with that lifestyle, but they still need to be safe and educated. That's a fact. And I'll do anything I can in my power to keep them safe. So that wasn't even the issue. The issue is we wanted to educate all kids. Being a native, indigenous, Hispanic, I've suffered some challenging times, beat up by white cops, but I don't think that makes all white people bad, just that white cop was pretty bad. But that was a sidetrack. We just want to educate kids. And I felt that I needed to get involved, and I did. And we did some great work, all of us, all 7 up here. So we formed, well, first, yeah, we formed, we stormed, we normed, and now we're performing, and I think we're going to do even better, even though we disagree. We shouldn't agree with everything, then we'd be robots. but we have a robust debate, and then we decide. And I think that we've done a good job at that. So I'm proud to be a part of all this board and to call all these men and women here my colleagues. We did some great things, raise the pay for teachers. And really, for me personally, I think we didn't raise it enough, but we can only do what we can do. But if we can increase enrollment, increase scores, I know we pretty much here, we would all do all we can to make our teachers the highest paid teachers in this area. That would be a great thing to do. We hired a great interim, seamless transition. I think that getting back to the pay raise, that was a historical pay raise based on our past CFO historical. That's a major statement, and we did it. We did it. I look forward to working with the board to create. I'm looking forward to create a parents' bill of rights where our district serves the parents and respects every parent's personal views, regardless of what they are, whether I agree with them or not. Every parent needs to be respected, and I hope we can establish that. I want to return the days when public education served the parents and when teachers respected the parents' home life. I just went to an adult education graduation, and man, that was probably the best graduation I've ever been to. I got emotional. I always get emotional. I started crying, man. I was fighting back tears because it reminded me of my upbringing, because many of them couldn't speak English well. And it reminded me, my family, my grandma didn't speak English. My mom barely spoke English. So it took me way back home to the struggles with, and I tell everybody, education is a great equalizer. My mother never went to school, learned to read by reading the Bible in Spanish. Oh, she could only read Spanish. My dad went to second grade, and he lied about his age to go to the Army because he didn't want to starve to death. And then they had me. And I was the first Loma to go to graduate from for a higher education, bachelor's, master's, doctoral degree, all that. And I wanted to quit many times, but I remember my dad. You better not quit. Get an education. And he would say like this: "Don't be dumb like me." And he would say that. I go, "No, you're not dumb." He was a smart dude. I did that at the education place, talking about my dad. And so that's why I sit here. Education is a great equalizer. I came from the ghetto. All my brothers died of heroin addicts. My uncles were dead, shot, and murdered. And here I sit. Why? Education. That's why I blame you, Jason. I ran for the board. Amen. To get back and do something. So if I was going to complain, I need to do something. So here I am. They asked me if I was going to run again. I said, "Don't you dare cuss at me like that." I don't know. I haven't gotten that far. I'm just glad I made it through this. I really am. I appreciate my supporters, you're out there. And I thank my detractors because you make me sharper. You make me evaluate myself. You make me look at my thoughts, my intents. You make me look at everything because I want to be sure that I'm doing the right thing the best I can. So I appreciate all my detractors. I do. Otherwise, I just look from life from my perspective. So I tell those who disagree with me, keep it up. Find me, prove me wrong, and I'll be the first one to change. So here I am. Thank you. Have a great, great summer. And don't call me. I'm just kidding. No. I'll see you later.
So thank you, Director Loma, and I will reiterate some of the comments made by our board members. I want to wish all our staff relaxing summer break. Hope you get to take some time off, relax with your friends and families, and recharge your batteries and come back in August refreshed. I want to give a special shout out to Commander Jim Hastings. This is going to be his last board meeting of the year. He is retiring. We are going to miss your presence here in the boardroom, but I saw in the board agenda under consent items, we already have a replacement for you. So, thank you for all your years of service in District 11, for keeping us safe, for keeping the district and the students and the staff here safe. Thank you. Another thing that I want to point out, this is the last board meeting of the year. As most of you are aware, District 11 is turning 150 years old this year. And on August 11th, we are going to have a kickoff celebration event at Gary Berry Stadium. As the details get finalized, Devrash, we will share that with the community. So please keep that date circled on your calendar. It's August 11th evening, I think, at Gary Berry Stadium. I know our new superintendent, Mr. Gall, has got it already circled on his calendar, and he's excited and ready to go. So I hope all of you can attend and enjoy that evening as we start our new school year at that time. And the last thing I want to end with is give you a final report on the superintendent search process. So when we started the superintendent search in early March, there were all kinds of speculations and rumors rampant in our community. First on the departure of our previous superintendent, then the appointment of our interim superintendent, and then the selection process for the new superintendent. All those innuendos were extensively discussed on social platforms, fears were perpetuated, and then the gossip was even covered by journalists and reporters in print and broadcast media. It just made the work of the board harder, and in my opinion, undermined the work of this board. At that time, right from this board dais, I assured our community that there was no truth to any of those gossips or speculations, that the board did not have a pre-selected candidate for the job, and that the board will go through a rigorous, open, and transparent process in finding the next leader. And at that time, I requested the community to hold me and this board accountable for our actions over the next 2 or 3 months. Not just listen to our words, but judge us by our deeds. And I'm glad one of our citizen comments pointed that out, that this board worked out really hard, and I truly appreciate it coming from Mr. Kaiser, knowing that he's a district historian. So this past week, I talked with several parents and community members, a few staff. Every feedback I received supported our choice for superintendent. Some minor disagreement on the process, but no disagreement on who was selected to be our next leader. Some even said to me that they wanted the board to make this choice, but were uncertain if we had the fortitude or courage to make this choice. Except they didn't use fortitude or courage, they used more colorful language. I think we answered that question resoundingly, not just by making the right choice, but considering the diverse perspective on this board, it was a unanimous choice. And in my humble opinion, the best choice for District 11 at this point in time. So over and over again, I've stated that this board's why is our students and staff. That's our common purpose, our middle ground we rally around, our students and staff. It's reflected in our board priorities. Every decision we make is centered on what is in the best interest of all our students and staff. And I promise you, collectively as a community, we are not that far apart. We are not divided. We are all in it for a common purpose, better outcomes for our students. No doubt, we have encountered a lot of turbulence and rough winds over the past several months. Looking back, there was a lot of doubt in the community that we would come to this day. And that doubt was unfortunately fueled by some baseless rumors and speculations. But here we are today with potential and promise for a bright future for District 11, with a new pilot in charge, literally and figuratively. So my request to the community at the end of this year is the same as it was several months back. Please continue to judge us by our actions as opposed to rumors and speculations you hear. Hold us, the board, the superintendents, and the adults in this room accountable for our results. Our students deserve nothing less. In the meantime, let us come together, work together, and build together collaboratively. If we do that, our collective actions, always centering around students and staff, the rest of the community, including the cynics, skeptics, and journalists, will eventually join us. And they will join us because we are doing right by our students and staff. Thank you. Moving on to consent items. Treasurer Nelson, can you please make the motion to adopt the consent items?
I move that the Board of Education adopt all consent items as designated in the agenda. The consent items are E2, approval of May 25th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. E3, approval of June 1st, 2022 special meeting minutes. E4, approval of June 3rd, 2022 special meeting minutes. E5, approval of the personnel recommendations for June 8th, 2022. E6, approval of policy JFBA/JFBB, school choice open enrollment and transfers. E7, approval of policy DJ, procurement and contracting. E8, approval of resolution 2022-46, student fees, fines, and charges. E9, approval of resolution 2022-48, use of portion of beginning fund balance. E10, approval of resolution 2022-50, designation of fund balance. E11, approval of resolution 2022-51, interfund borrowing. We've been busy.
Moved and seconded. Before I make a roll call, Dr. Gleditch, do you have any principals or assistant principals in the audience that you would?
We do. Thank you. Yes, board members. Actually, you approved tonight our new principal at Jenkins Middle School, but he's not here. He's camping. He's at Moab. But we do possibly have Ashlyn. I didn't see Ashlyn in the audience tonight. Smith from McAuliffe. But we do have Robin Behringer. Robin, hi. She's your new assistant principal at Jack Swigert Aerospace Academy. So welcome, and thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you. And I want to point out to the audience and the community, we do have the new superintendent's contract that we are approving too. And I said the surprises aren't ending, so we have a surprise guest visiting us today from East Coast, Mr. Michael Gall, joining us.
Hello, District 11, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, good
Well,
evening, everyone.
let's get Mr. Michael Gall in the center.
I've been watching you all from afar for several months. I'm so excited to be joining the very positive energy that I feel between the board, the staff, and the community on really getting after improving student outcomes for all students. I want to give a special thanks to Dr. Gleditch, Dr. Thurman, Mr. Gustafson, as well as the other members of the staff who stepped in to really stabilize the system after some challenging times earlier this year. And not just stabilizing the system and finishing strong, but really setting an excellent foundation for the vision of the board and the vision that I'm bringing in as well as we get ready for the 2022-23 year in front of us. I'll be in Colorado Springs over the next couple of weeks. I hope to be able to see some of you as I visit Summer Bridge and meet with some of the staff, and just very excited for the year that's in front of us. Thank you for the confidence, thank you for the collaboration, and thank you for the trust as we move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Gall. And after the board approves this contract, we'll have to call you Superintendent Gall. So,
Thank you. I look forward to that.
yeah, with that, roll call, please, Marcella.
Dr. Bankus?
Aye.
Mrs. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Jorgensen?
Aye.
Mr. Loma?
Aye.
Mr. Melpacum?
Aye.
Mrs. Nelson?
Aye.
Mrs. Saad?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The consent items are adopted. I do want to thank Mr. Gall again for being here and maybe share a couple of thoughts about Mr. Gall. And then if the board wants to talk about this hire, since this is a big hire, superintendent's hire, I'm glad to open it up for you guys to share a couple of your thoughts too. So to the community, we went through an extensive search process. We had, I've shared this over and over again, it was open, transparent, and we had about 1,500 touch points from our community. After those interviews and stakeholder feedback, it became evident that Mr. Gall's skill set perfectly aligned with the district needs at this point in time. So Mr. Gall has demonstrated dynamic servant leadership with three different sectors, military, private sector, K-12 public education, and also serving in some of our nation's biggest and most challenging school districts in Detroit, Oakland, and Washington, D.C. So I think these experiences have prepared him to bring in his systems level leadership and consistent cultural change throughout an organization and drive efficiency and collaboration between central admin and our school buildings. His vision is also to surround our teachers with resources and supports, remove barriers, streamline responsibilities, and celebrate accomplishments. I think all of that, when operationalized, is going to help close opportunity and expectation gaps, deliver improved academic outcomes for all students, especially our minority students, ensure our schools are thriving and performing, and over time, reverse our declining student enrollment challenge. And one last thing I want to touch on. During the interview process, Mr. Gall stated that he is agreeable to work at will, that he is in this for the work and not for the job. True to his word, this contract that the board approved is a one-year contract. Essentially, he's willing to say his job performance is his job security. Again, that accountability piece that I requested the community to hold us to earlier this evening, it is reflected in Mr. Gall's contract. But let me remove any doubts. This board is 100% committed to Mr. Gall. It is the board's full intent to renew and extend Mr. Gall's contract a year from now. Mr. Gall has repeatedly stated that he is in this for the long run and that he wants to finish his professional career in D11. This board looks forward to honoring that request and to a long and productive partnership that is going to benefit our students and staff. Thank you. Director Bankus.
I want to address you, Mr. McGall, and I want to thank you for coming to join us here at District 11. I'm excited with the skills that you are bringing. There were many highlights in your interviews that you had with us that make you the right choice to lead Colorado Springs School District's oldest district here. One skill that stands out to me is creating innovative culture, design thinking to innovate. Your focus on principals who know their schools best to reach out to Central Office for support and resources will lead to opportunities for unique programming. As your research of the district shows, 20 to 25% of students in District 11 do not attend their neighborhood schools. Creating an innovative culture within our schools has the potential to redirect our students to their neighborhood schools. You also address sustainability in your interviews. District 11 has a long and valued legacy. As such, building trust and programming to meet the board priorities for increasing student achievement and turning the corner on declining enrollment will take decisions and practice to sustain our efforts. Thank you again for joining District 11, and you have the support of this board member as well as my colleagues. Thank you to move forward with identifiable goals because that's where we are focused. Thank you.
Director Nelson.
I also wanted to share just some of the things that stood out to me and why Mr. Gall was a great choice for District 11. I appreciate your sense of urgency, that you recognize the need to improve K-12 education and that we owe it to the kids, and appreciate your desire to play a part in District 11 to support our students. And I appreciate that you recognize the need and the strength in collaborating with others to make decisions. I appreciate that you see the need to grant grace to the past and that they were the right decisions at the time, but let's not dwell, and that you have a forward-thinking mindset. That was clear to me, and I value that as well. You're focused on District 11 and educating our young people to be prepared to enter the workforce one day, and that our decisions and efforts are to be within 2 steps of academic performance. I think I'm quoting, maybe not directly, but from your public interview. And that really stood out to me. I appreciate that mindset as well. You value the importance of supporting teachers, allowing the teachers to teach, and using data to guide decisions, and the importance of people coming together by focusing on the why. And I look forward to working with you and having you serve in District 11 for many years to come.
Director Jurgensen.
Similar sentiments to what I shared when we had the special meeting on Friday. But the biggest thing that stood out to me for this hire, among all three of our candidates who all would have been a good fit for this position, was that the thing that stood out to me was his statement of the central office should work for our schools, not our schools answering to the central office. And then that's a partnership in all perfect fit goal and thinking, but just to think, as a former school teacher with education experience on this board as well, of thinking, okay, how do we have that great partner from central office, and how is that leader at central office going to be operationalizing, as he had mentioned in his interviews, the process of getting our schools and central admin to work cohesively together for the good of all of our kids. So that's what nailed it for me, and that's why I'm excited to have him come. So.
Director Loma.
Welcome soon to Colorado Springs, Mr. Gall. When we first began this, we got an email with stacks of resumes on a PDF, and I said, oh my God, I'm gonna be reading here all night long. And I did, I was reading them, and what stuck out to me when I got to Colonel Gall, I can call you Colonel right now, was that he was in Detroit, which I go, ooh, and that's pretty brutal. And I'm reading, and it goes, oh, then he was in Washington. I go, oh, darn, that's pretty brutal. And being from the Oakland area, he was in Oakland. I said, oh man, I like him. I go, wow. He took on some very challenging positions, and it got my attention. And then, as he began to speak, the interviews, I was impressed with the first one, but there was a lot of impressive interviews. They were really impressive. But the more you spoke, and the more I heard from you, all of a sudden you begin to separate yourself. It was like the Kentucky Derby. It was nose to nose. Right at the end, I go, whoa. You just begin to do yourself well. And I really appreciate it. I look forward to gaining from your expertise, from your systems mind, from a strategic viewpoint. I'm looking forward to that. And I can just say this about the initial contract. I think it speaks to his confidence in his ability. And that was another, maybe that was a strategy. Was it good? I go, this guy's pretty confident he's going to do the job. And so that was another thing that got my attention. And I fully expect to renew your contract for years to come so that we could help your dream come true, so you can retire here. Like you said, you can finish where you began. And I look forward to that. I may not be on the board by then, but I will be around keeping an eye. But I look forward to seeing you. And I hear you play golf. I'm looking forward to some golf. All right? God bless you.
Director Art.
Thank you. So, Mr. Gall, I just want to say congratulations on your selection, and we're looking forward to working with you. So have a safe and, just a safe move. I'm not sure I can say enjoyable because I'm not sure moving is ever enjoyable, but have a safe move to Colorado Springs, and we'll see you soon.
Director Daniels.
Good evening, Mr. Gall. Just wanted to say welcome as well. I'm looking forward to building and learning more. Be safe as well, and stay healthy. We'll see you soon.
So congratulations, Superintendent Gall. The board has officially approved your contract, so we look forward to your visit next week to District 11 and spending some quality time enjoying a barbecue outside, which Dr. Gleditch shared with the board, that we are going to welcome you with a good old-fashioned Western Colorado-style barbecue. So congratulations, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Great. Can't wait to see you all. I'll take the video down, but I'll listen to the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next week.
See you. Yeah, bye. Moving on, no more surprises, by the way. That's the last surprise. Action items. Contract award C 2023-003, Board and District's General Legal Services Support. Director Daniels, can you please make the motion for action item F1? Hang on a minute.
There you go.
I move that the Board of Education approve contract C2023-0003 for the Board and District's General Legal Services Support. This is a 5-year contract that will start July 1st, 2022, and has 4 one-year option terms.
Second.
Moved and seconded. This item is new. Dr. Glidich, do you want to share some information with us?
Sure. Actually, I've asked Chris Odom to come forward this evening to share with you the contract award for the district's general legal services support. And so, Chris, if you could fill the board in, and we'll go from there. I know that they've had their agenda for a while, but can you give us some specifics?
Absolutely, and thank you, Dr. Gleditch. Good evening, Board of Education. Before I provide an overview of the process and the legal services contract, I'd like to recognize a few individuals that are in attendance with us tonight. The co-tar for this particular effort is the CFO, currently acting in an interim capacity is Mr. Glenn Gustafson. Also are the various functional stakeholders who most are not in attendance, but they are important to this process, and I wanted to recognize their participation. We had functional stakeholders from the Board of Education, Dr. Bankus and Dr. Nelson, thank you for your support. HR, special education, student success and wellness, risk management, records management, and the secretary to the Board of Education. Thank you all for all your hard work in supporting us in this process. From Brian Cave, Leighton Paisner, LLP, from here on referred to as BCLP, I'd like to recognize Mr. Brent Reichner and Deb Minkins. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Now an overview of our procurement process. Our current contract ends June 30th, 2022, and it is with Brian Cave, or BCLP. In April of this year, I issued a solicitation and submitted it on our bonfire proposal evaluation system. I also invited vendors who had expressed interest to be invited to the next competition. Contractors were notified and proposals were received. We established an 11-person evaluation committee that included staff from each of these functional areas as well as the Board of Education. The evaluation team individually evaluated proposals and through group consensus selected the top-ranked firms. Interviews were scheduled and evaluated. The technical evaluation sought qualifications, ability to support the scope of work, the experience of the firm, as well as the sustainability of the firm and its functional or financial viability. BCLP was ranked as the top-ranked contractor in all categories. Past performance, both internal to the district and external customers, were sought. This included Pikes Peak Library District, U.S. Anti-Doping Agency, and D20. All of the past performance references were to determine the quality of the service, the responsiveness of the firm, and the attorneys assigned to the case or situation. The ability to support areas outside any specialties was also included. BCLP was ranked as with high confidence rating in all areas. Price was evaluated for completeness, reasonableness, and realism. BCLP's pricing structure and rates were deemed to be complete and overall deemed the best value. Next, I'd like to share some highlights of the contract. All of the district's standard terms and conditions have been negotiated and incorporated, which includes annual renewable terms, and a new condition which pertains to a transition provision for the next future competition. we negotiated to modify how annual inflationary adjustments would be calculated using the Denver Boulder CPI to an actual rate rounded down to the nearest dollar. We will realize a discounted rate for any Denver-based attorney expertise that is sought by an authorized district representative. And finally, we negotiated a series of annual trainings. Topics will be annually negotiated between the parties. The intent of the training is to reduce potential litigation or increase awareness on high repeat matters. We are going to receive up to 4 30-minute training sessions and 2 60-minute training sessions on any of the agreed-to topics at no additional cost. Training topics for this fiscal year include the master agreement, performance evaluation process, special education and 504 discipline processes, the nuts and bolts of special education law, student-on-student bullying, employment discrimination and harassment. In addition, we negotiated an additional up to 120 minutes of training at a reduced flat rate at a topic of choice. Trainings will be monitored and topics annually agreed to through the superintendent. If approved tonight, I will sign the contract with an effective date of July 1, 2022. And based on the average of the last 5 years' effort, we anticipate a spend of approximately $600,000. This is not a guaranteed amount. This is an amount that would be paid on the actual use based on the contracted flat rate pricing that is in the contract. If fully executed, this contract will be annually renewed and go through June 30, 2027. This concludes my overview of the process and the contract.
So thank you. I truly appreciate the work that you put in, Mr. Gustafson put in, all the members of our committee put in, including our 2 board directors who are part of this committee, Secretary Bankus and Treasurer Nelson. Thank you for all your work. Looks like you guys were diligent, put a lot of deliberations into it, and came up with this recommendation and decision. Looking to the board, any comments or questions? Okay, none. I do want to recognize our legal counsel that are in attendance to Ms. Deb Menkins and Ms. Reichner. Mr. Reichner, thank you for being here. We look forward to working with you again. And one of the things that stood out to me here was, Ms. Odom, you might have talked about it, there's training sessions that are there, and that's a new addition to the contract, right?
It's an enhanced upgrade.
Enhanced upgrade. We can always use training sessions, even for the board, when new board members come in, trying to learn about the master agreement or other aspects. So that's a value add, and I hope we can collectively, the admin and the board, take advantage of those trainings. Roll call, please, Maricela.
Dr. Bankus? Aye. Mrs. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Jorgensen?
Aye.
Mr. Loma?
Aye.
Mr. Melpacum?
Aye.
Mrs. Nelson?
Aye.
Mrs. Ott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The contract award is approved to Brian Cave. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Moving on to the second item, action item. Director Loma, can you please make the motion for action item F2?
I move the Board of Education approve the $100,000 budget transfer request to pay for an operational management study of human resources, facilities, and technology in accordance with policy DBJ.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Again, this item is new, Dr. Gleditch. I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, board members, a while ago I shared with you that I was going to create an opportunity for the district to have 3 management studies to identify strengths and weaknesses within the system, especially in 3 critical areas that has had a lot of attention this year and a lot of concerns being raised. This request is for an additional $100,000 because the amount of the studies exceeds my authority as superintendent. So we need to come to the board for the additional dollars. And just so that you're aware, when we're looking at the human resources study, it has already started because we could start within my authority. And so that work has already begun and focus groups are being created. The study will consist of focus groups with all of our key stakeholders throughout the district in all three of the management study areas. When we're looking at human resources, some of the areas that I'll be looking closely at when the results come in would be not only customer service, workload volume for staffing, but also error rates. That includes setting up our salaries for new employees, compliance with district policies, master agreement, ESP and Exec Pro handbooks, but most importantly, our staff processes and procedures to perform high-level operational tasks. And that would be something like our hiring process from post to fill. So these are some of the areas that we'll be looking at as well as others. In the facilities, some of the areas I would want to pay close attention to would be the areas of the quality and the supervision of work performed in-house, the materials requisition, procurement, and deployment on work orders that would be done within our schools, the school work order process, the timeliness and the quality of work, the time and effort in reporting, especially the area of overtime, and the use of district equipment, assets, and materials. These are all things that would be included in the facility study, as well as some of the standards, your staffing, your structure, and your organization. And in IT, we'll be paying attention to our staffing and our structure, the department organization of responsibilities, but again, the workload volume for some of our current authorized staffing levels, but the management of software system implementations, upgrades, and maintenance is an area that I would like to pay close attention to when the results come in, and the protection of the district's information and assets and system security. So that's just a few of the bullet points of things that we're going to be looking at within these three management studies. And again, this is to request the additional $100,000 to conclude and finish with all three. We're doing them over the summer. HR first, I believe IT or facilities will be second, and IT third. Might be backwards, IT might be before facilities. But we're working closely with PCG, who are the auditors that work closely with us over the years with our MLO. And they all understand that they're coming in at a time when staff is busy, especially in preparing it for a brand new school year. And they're going to be accommodating to our schedules and our needs going forward. Chris, or Glenn, did I miss anything? Okay.
Thank you. Board members' comments or questions? Director Nelson.
Can we get a list of all of those that you were naming?
Sure.
Thank you. Emailed or however.
I'll keep this note here in my book, and I'll do it sometime tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Director Jurgensen.
Yeah, when Dr. Ledge first thought about this, I thought that was a great idea since we had some feedback from our stakeholders in here back in December on some concerns and bottlenecks that we had in the district where, for us to kind of have an outside party come in and look at how things are ran, see if we do have some bottlenecks where they are, where we can streamline things, even if it's something as simple as, why does this paper have to go here first and there and then to the person that needs it? And it might be something as simple as that, but if there's ways that we can improve the streamlined service of our district, I'm all for that. So I'm eager to see what this looks like. And then also, I think it's great timing for the new superintendent to come in and have the report and to go, okay, how do we make this all better? So there we go.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? So seeing none, if I can make one request, I'm sure, Dr. Glidich, this PCG is going to reach out to various different stakeholders in the district to engage in that conversation. Some of the board members might be interested to provide some feedback too. So, and that's up to the board. I certainly would like to provide some feedback to them as part of what I've heard in my visits to schools and things of that nature. So if the board members can get an invite to be part of that interview, and board members who are available over the summer can participate in that conversation with PCG.
Sure, I'll look into that for you. I'm the co-tar. Mr. Gall will become the co-tar effective in July, but between the two of us, we'll make that happen for all board members.
Okay. And I will echo some of the other comments that was repeated here. It goes back to that principal survey that was conducted in October too. Some of our principals identified some of the bottlenecks and the need for streamlining, and it was echoed in the stakeholder survey, which we did for the superintendent search. That was something that was echoed out there too. So I'm glad that we are doing this audit or study, management study. So when the new superintendent comes in, he will have a report with clear recommendations as to how to improve operational efficiency in our district. With that, roll call, please, Maricela.
Dr. Bankus?
Aye.
Mrs. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Jorgensen?
Aye.
Mr. Loma?
Aye.
Mr. Melpacum?
Aye.
Mrs. Nelson?
Aye.
Mrs. Ott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Moving on to item number F3, Resolution 2022-49, appropriation of the fiscal year 22-23 budget. Director Art, can you please make the motion for action item F3?
Yes, I move that the Board of Education approve Resolution 2022-49, appropriation of the fiscal year 22-23 budget, and therefore adopts the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. This item was presented to the board as non-action item on May 25th regular meeting. We also had a work session on it last week, June 1st. Dr. Gladich, do you have any new information for our review?
Yes, board members, I did send you an email, I believe it was last Friday or Saturday, in regards to Vice President Jorgensen identifying an error where we had a double entry in our budget. And so when working with the executive team on Friday, I shared with you that one of the critical needs that we identified in the district is that we needed to do something with the compensation levels of our security guards. And that would be the security guards and officers that impact directly with our schools, and that we were recommending to the board, it's not new money, it's money that was already in the budget, it was just in there twice, that we would put that, it was about $210,000 into the compensation levels for our security guards. We approximately have 12 vacancies, and we're hoping that raising these levels will make us more attractive to individuals who are interested in our district to become security people. We have been the lowest paid for our security guards. This will put us at number 2. And so we'll raise that level for all of our security guards, and it will also provide us with a greater opportunity to be fully staffed, hopefully, when the school year begins. This is one of the most critical areas that we have to fill for the start of the new school year. That would be the only new items that would be contained, other than Mr. Gustafson doing the general cleanup and things like that within the budget.
So thank you. And again, to our community, this was extensively discussed even when we developed the preliminary budget development analysis in late March, I think, and early April. We had 2 6-hour meetings, 12 hours, so it was 12 hours together, and then we had a non-action on it on May 25th, work session on it June 1st. So, and now it's coming in as an action item. One thing I do want to thank Mr. Gustafson and his team. This was a lot of work, and you had to step in the middle of the school year, and again, it was seamless. Thank you for wearing those multiple hats, you and Laura and your team. Thank you so much for bringing this in front of the board. Any comments or questions from the board? After all those meetings, you guys are exhausted. No more questions on the budget. So a couple of things I do want to point out for our staff. I am really proud that in spite of the tight budget constraints that we had, we were able to, by adopting this budget, we have over $21 million in employee compensation set aside for you, 13.5% in ESP, 13.5% increase in ESP compensation, over 10% both for our teachers and exec pros. And when you look at the new money that's coming into the district, I think, if I remember right, and Glenn can correct me, it was roughly about $7 million or so. So it was $7 million, and the employee compensation, we've been able to do 3 times as much money in returning back to the employees. And I think Director Loma mentioned about historical, and that's aligns with the board priorities. And I'm glad that Dr. Gleditch also talked about the campus security officers, and they are one of the lowest paid positions, and at $15 per hour it's starting salary, and because of the several vacancies there. Now with this increase, they will be at $18.50 per hour. And that will help fill all the vacancies and ensure that our school campuses are safe and secure. And for our staff, I know more needs to be done, and this board highlighted that in our board priorities. And we will continue to work within the constraints that we have to ensure that you have adequate compensation and quality professional development and supports. One quick question I had for you, Dr. Gleditch, or maybe your team. I know when we approved this budget, we have that 30 extra minutes added to the elementary school day. And I saw a communication come out from the district yesterday that went out to all our parents. So at some point in time, will parents also hear from individual schools on what the specific start time and end time will be? And do you know approximately when that is going to happen?
Yes, and actually I'll have Deborah Ashby publish our communication plan to all of the board members. That information is going out in bits and pieces for first generating and creating awareness. Hats off to the EDSLs who coordinated work with transportation way back in early May and end of April to make sure that our bell schedules and everything could be established. So parents are beginning to receive that information now. We'll be pushing it out from the district because schools are home for the summer. And Deborah Ashby has the communication plan in place to make sure that we send it out and we send out a reminder and then another reminder so that we're completely visible with our new school start times. You know, please note that it not only impacted our elementary schools, but our middle schools and high schools as well. There's additional student contact time minutes built into the high schools and middle schools too. I'm really pleased to report that we were able to establish the transportation plan. I don't want to say with ease, Mr. Gustafson, because I know it's not an easy task, but Nick Soto did a yeoman's job with making it and working closely with the EDSLs and principals with any concerns with beginning and ending times for routes, as well as beginning and ending times for schools. So that communication plan is alive and well and will continue throughout the summer.
Yeah. Again, thank you. Kudos to all of you out there. Like what Dr. Gleditch was talking about, that's a yeoman's job, transportation, putting together all the schedules and figuring everything out. So thank you for all of the work, and I do see you, Director Nelson. You have a question?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you. Couple of things. I just wanted to speak to that security funding that we were able to shift over. Really appreciate that we're able to do that. I know we originally had budgeted for $1 million to go towards our ESP staff that are furthest from the market. And so it's surprising that the security members didn't receive that impact as much. So I'm glad that, that we found this money that we could boost them up and keep our schools safe. So thank you for the hard work on making that quick decision and making that happen. I wanted to ask, I'll piggyback on your question about the school times. Just wondering if there's a plan for updating the school's websites with the new times. And as you said, schools are home now, or yeah, they're off for the summer. So how will we ensure every school's website gets updated? You don't have to answer that. It's probably on your radar. Just give me a thumbs up. Yep, there's a plan. Great. And then I just had a quick question in the budget. Something that I just noticed is the AVID program is getting some funding from the district, which is really exciting. And I, during my school tours, visited Galileo and Odyssey Early Colleges, and they both utilized the AVID program. And I was just curious. Both schools pointed out to me that District 11 had previously funded those programs fully, and then in the last couple of years, it shifted to where now it's on the school to provide the funding. And so I was curious, seeing the line item here, are we funding it back? Because that would be very exciting.
Dr. Gleditch, would you like me to answer that one?
Sure.
Okay. We are incorporating partial funding for schools. The other bigger piece that I think is important to know for AVID, I've been working with some of our AVID principals. The second semester of this year, there's a strong desire on their part to build a pathway similar to what you saw for arts integration or STEM or outdoor and environmental for AVID. And so it is one of my goals to have that developed and ready to go by the end of first semester of the upcoming school year. We can see some good benefits for kids with that program.
Yes, it sounds like it. And I guess just for us as a board, thinking ahead to next year's budget, making sure that either the schools are getting the funding in their budget to provide this program, or if we need to boost that line item at the district level to help support it. Just it seems to be an excellent program. And it also made me think about, capturing kids' hearts or random acts of kindness. I know we have lots of great programs that are kind of on the schools to provide the funding for, and just wanting to make sure that we are giving those funds to do so and support our schools. So thank you.
Sure.
That was all I had.
Thank you. Seeing no further questions, Marcella, roll call, please.
Dr. Bankus?
Aye.
Mrs. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Jorgensen?
Aye.
Mr. Loma?
Aye.
Mr. Malpacum?
Aye.
Mrs. Nelson?
Aye.
Mrs. Ott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The 2022-2023 budget has been adopted. And thank you again, Glenn, for all the hard work that you put into this.
And Laura.
Moving on to action item F4, resolution 2022-60, Juneteenth holiday observance. Director Daniels, can you please read the resolution and make the motion for action item F4?
Resolution 2022-60, recognizing June 13th through 19th, 2022 as Juneteenth holiday observance. Whereas the Civil War, which raged for 4 years between April 1861 and April 1865, officially ended with the surrender of General Lee to General Grant at Appomattox on April 9th, 1865. Still, even after this turning point, many parts of the country remained at war, whereas Juneteenth commemorates the day freedom was proclaimed to all slaves in the South by Union General Gordon Granger, who arrived at Galveston, Texas, proclaiming the authority of the United States over Texas in the name of then-President Andrew Johnson on June 19, 1865. In Galveston, Texas, more than 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation by President Abraham Lincoln. Whereas, in so proclaiming this authority, General Granger declared all acts of the Confederacy null and void and announced slaves were henceforth set free. Whereas not caring so much as to which day freedom had come, as to the fact it had come, the freed men and women refer to this day as Juneteenth, which provides the historical reference for Juneteenth National Freedom Day, also known as Emancipation Day, Emancipation Celebration, Freedom Day, June, Juneteenth Independence Day, and Juneteenth. Juneteenth National Freedom Day commemorates the June 19, 1865 announcement of the abolition of slavery in the state of Texas, and in general, the emancipation of enslaved African Americans throughout the former Confederacy. Whereas during the years immediately following their emancipation, the freed men and women established a tradition of picnics, music, and Thanksgiving, and used the occasion to reflect upon the profound meaning of their freedom. The freedom to choose a life direction, manner of earning a livelihood, and creating a community in which a free people might live with dignity. Whereas Americans of all ethnic backgrounds, creeds, cultures, religions, and countries of origin share in a common love of and respect for freedom, as well as a determination to protect their right to freedom through democratic institutions by which the tenets of freedom are guaranteed and protected. And whereas the Colorado Springs School District 11 Board of Education values and honors the national state of Colorado and city of Colorado Springs Juneteenth ideals and commemoration of America's second Independence Day observance, the 19th of June as one which completes the cycle of America's 18th century independence movement, initiated with the 4th of July, 1776, Declaration of Independence, and to advance this country's sincere dialogue of the realization of what Juneteenth historically means to all Americans, promoting racial healing, reconciliation, restoration, and justice. Now therefore be it resolved that the week of June 13th through the 19th, 2022 is Juneteenth holiday observance. All citizens, regardless of race or ethnic background, are encouraged to experience the Juneteenth observance activities. I move that the Board of Education approve Resolution 2022-60, Observance of Juneteenth Holiday.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you for reading that long resolution. Board members, comments? Director Ott.
So part of the observation is about experiencing Juneteenth observance activities. And on June 18th, there are activities at America the Beautiful Park. America the Beautiful Park. So if folks want to go down there, they have music, story time. You can register to vote. There will be several activities. So if you haven't been before, this is a great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Ott, for sharing that. I was looking at their website too, and it looked like it was for 2 or 3 days, not just June 18. So, Director Loma.
I remember when I first found out about Juneteenth of California, and I came in there, and they were having this event. It was 20 years ago. And then they told me that. I go, man, I was interested. I didn't, it blew my mind. They didn't have Facebook back then, so that no one told them. And I was just amazed that that actually happened. And it always struck me, and every year it comes up, I'm reminded of that, and have many friends that celebrate that. And so I'm just glad to be a part of that historical event. Thank God for Abraham Lincoln. Oh yeah, and he's a white guy. Wow, amazing thing. Amen. I have to throw those in, but that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Any other comments? Director Ott again?
Yes, thank you for mentioning that it does go for more than one day. So if folks want to look online, it is csjuneteenthfestival.com. And so that's the 17th through the 19th. Thanks for that catch, President Malpacum.
Thank you. Seeing no other comments, roll call, please. Marcella.
Dr. Bankus? Aye. Mrs. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Jorgensen?
Aye.
Mr. Loma?
Aye.
Mr. Malpacum?
Aye.
Mrs. Nelson?
Aye.
Mrs. Ott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The motion has been adopted. Moving on to non-action items. These were 2 non-action items that did not get posted 2 weeks back on the board agenda. So if the board is agreeable to it by a vote, we would have to move each one of these non-action items to action after we discuss it and take a vote on it today. So the first item is DAC membership and charge. Again, this item is new. Dr. Glidich, what information do you have for our review?
Yes, and talking to Phoebe Bailey, one of the things that we learned, the reason why this came on so late is that this should have been on the May 25th agenda, but they were not able to get it prepared in time. And basically what this is doing is it's giving the DAC an opportunity for you to vote on their chair so that they can begin the school year with the chair, which is what's required by law. And several members of DAC that were responsible for this were very busy during that period of time in May with children graduating high school, and unfortunately it didn't make it to the docket in time. So Ms. Bailey, I know that we bring the charge back to the board again in October, but the purpose behind this is for the board to adopt the chair. Can you fill us in on anything else that I've missed?
No, that is exactly it, Dr. Glidich. Velvet Stepanek has been voted in as the DAC chair for the upcoming 22-23 school year, and there will be a new vice president that they have recruited to take that role. So in order for them to do their work and in order for you to approve their committee members, they need to be in place at the start of the school year.
Thank you. Any questions? Director Loma.
I might have missed something. Are we going to move this right now to action today?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I understand now. Okay,
Yep.
yeah, let's do that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Director Bankus.
Did I miss the name of the vice chair?
Lauren
No.
Walker.
Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, I think the subcommittee chairs have also been selected. I think it's going to be, I see the budget, or she was here just a minute back. I think she stepped
She
out.
just-
Amanda Huber, and then Lyman Kaiser, and Miriam Clausen, I think, if I got the name right. So from the both, hang on a minute, Director Art.
So just to focus on the fact that if we approve this, we are adding these charges, we're accepting them. It's not just, and these people. So it's not, that's my assumption, unless we have a motion just to adopt, unless we have a motion for just the chair and vice chair.
My understanding is, and I could be wrong on this is how it's been presented to the board in the past. And in September or October, they will come back to the board with a revision of charges if necessary, and with added committee members at that point in time to the list that is already in place. So we can adopt the whole thing, but they can bring revisions back in September and October. Yeah, October.
Correct.
In October. I see Lyman lifting his hand up. Do you want to comment on that, Mr. Kaiser?
If I may, what we have done in the last few years is provide those charges sort of as a talking thing, with the idea that the board and the DAC would negotiate or discuss those between now and October, or give us the approval to tentatively go forward. So you might want to clarify that you're not necessarily approving the charges tonight, but you have those to consider and feedback to us. But
Okay.
we definitely have to have the president and the vice president.
So then that brings back to the question, are we just approving the president and the vice president, or all the things that have been presented?
I would make that clear in your motion if you want to do it that way, as opposed to improve the whole thing.
Okay. So first, board, can I have a motion to move this from non-action to action?
Yeah, I move that we move DAC membership in charge from non-action to action.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please, Marcella.
Dr. Bankus?
Aye.
Mrs. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Jorgensen?
Aye.
Mr. Loma?
Aye.
Mr. Melpacum?
Aye.
Mrs. Nelson?
Aye.
Mrs. Ott?
Aye.
So the motion is adopted, and the DAC membership in charge has been moved from non-action to action.
Thank you.
Then we gotta approve it.
We have to approve it now, yeah. So can I have a motion now to approve the chair and the vice chair for the DAC and the chairs for the subcommittee?
I move that we approve the chair and vice chair for the DAC and the chairs and vice chairs for subcommittees for the next school
Second.
year.
Moved and seconded. Any discussions on this right now? Seeing none, roll call, please, Marcella.
Dr. Bankus?
Aye.
Mrs. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Jorgensen?
Aye.
Mr. Loma?
Aye.
Mr. Melpacum?
Aye.
Mrs. Nelson?
Aye.
Mrs. Ott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. The motion has been adopted. So thank you for all of you that are serving in the capacity of chair or vice chair on the DAC. Thank you for volunteering your time.
Yeah, it's a rough job.
The second non-action item is Board of Education priorities. This item was discussed at the January 5th and February 16th work session. The board is going to now formally adopt it. Before I turn it over to comments and discussions by the board, Dr. Gleditch, do you have anything that you want to add?
I guess one of the things I would add is that I wanted to make sure that the board, you have my paper, that I did send to the Board of Education a suggested monitoring report, which would list the objectives and measures for each one of the indicators that are contained within your board priorities. And along with that, it also contains a timeline by which these measures would be reported. And so it's basically a monitoring report that the superintendent and staff can complete quarterly or annually, depending upon the actual measure. But each one of the indicators has a measure and an objective attached to it. In addition to that, I also gave you another document that is driven by the superintendent's office, and it's called the Board of Education Priorities District Roles Authority Matrix. And in this particular document, it contains each one of your board priorities, your aspirational goals, but it also lists your indicators. And along with the indicators, it's more or less, it's a rewrite, but it's in a table of your objectives and your measures. But what's important on the right-hand side of the authority matrix is it will tell you who is accountable for that particular measure, that result, who's responsible, who does the work for the person that's accountable, and then who needs to be consulted, which means each one of these objectives that are listed here to meet your indicator has someone that's responsible to do it. But we all know that someone that's responsible to do the work needs to rely on support and resources. So the column that deals with consultant are those individuals who can support and resource the individuals who need to accomplish that particular objective. For example, you have a lot of objectives in here that deal with student achievement. And the district superintendent and school principals are accountable for the results at the district level and at the school level. But there are individuals who do the work, but there's also individuals that they can rely on for support and resources. And you'll see in that column, support and resources to a school principal could be your executive director of school leadership. Support and resources could be any member of the Sherry Callback's division and area that deals with academics, and learning and instruction and curriculum. So the authority matrix is a tool, it's a guide for us to use on how we can serve our schools with meeting any of the particular objectives that are listed in here that they're responsible for. But the authority matrix will also tell central office staff who can resource and support them too. Just wanted you to note that some of your indicators are owned by you. You know that. And so I've also indicated who you can consult, which is usually each other in these particular areas. But you may even find other areas that can serve you in meeting some of your objectives. And I think one of the major objectives for you is school visitations and ways in which to monitor and log them. And it's all right in here when you'll report it and everything. So it's just, I tried to make it comprehensive as I could. What I tried to do was make sure that every indicator that you wrote has a measure and objective, and you will also know who's accountable and responsible for making it happen. And my guidance and suggestion is this is the superintendent's work. You govern the work. You don't tell the superintendent how to do the work. The superintendent and his staff needs to. And what I've encouraged the executive team to do when they get the final copy, because they'll get it after you approve it tonight, is to take a look at every area where there's someone responsible for the results and develop your action plan so that you can share with the superintendent and others what you're doing to make this indicator a reality. Because we own the work, you own the governance. So we're going to tell you how we're going to do our work, and we're going to tell you what our measures were, and then you will be able to identify new measures for next year or new indicators potentially going forward. I did add an indicator that does talk about retaining student enrollment. We talked about increasing student enrollment, but I also put another measure in there about retaining student enrollment. And other than that, the only other thing that you'll see is that when you wrote your board priorities, you wrote them with this year in mind, but you never adopted them with this year in mind. So the monitoring report is something that will start in the fall of this school year. So all of your student achievement data that will be reported will be data that from CMAS last month. It'll be all of the current data that you'll get in the fall because you have to move forward. And so we didn't try to do a monitoring report for this year, but now the information's out, principals will receive this, and everybody will know what your indicators are and how they'll be measured. Your superintendent coming in, Mr. Gall, may have some additional measures or may have some measures that, I don't know if these measures are really going to cut it for me as superintendent. I'd like to see something different. This is a foundation. It's a tool to get started, and I didn't want the new superintendent to walk in with nothing, but have something to help guide that work with the school year starting, because you're only a month or two away. So I just wanted to make sure you were aware of this. So I made you a hard copy, and believe it or not, it's changed. I worked with Phoebe Bailey after a discussion yesterday on the hiring rate, so some terminology in there has changed. But before I leave, you'll get the final copy, I promise. But it's a living document, and that's what monitoring reports are all about. But I want to thank you for giving guidance to a superintendent on your priorities with indicators, because then the superintendent doesn't have to sit and guess what those indicators are. The superintendent just needs to tell you how he is going to measure them. And so suggestions are contained herein.
So thank you, Dr. Glitich. I know that this was a lot of work on you and your team. And the board priorities that are behind me out there, it started off very rudimentary, and then the board came together in the work sessions, put together a board priority, and from that developed some of the goals to attach to it, and you call them aspirational goals, and also the matrix that you developed, the accountability that you put into place. That was a lot of work that you put in there, so thank you. So for the community, there are 4 buckets that this board is committed to: student success, staff investment, community engagement, and future vision. So those are all behind me in the board priorities, and each one has metrics attached to it, below it. And from the board side, like what Dr. Glitich was talking about, some of it the board owns, like visitations to schools, like the board communication that came out to you periodically. And I can think of the town hall meeting that the board committed to and had a town hall meeting. We plan on doing all those kind of things back in the fall again. Community engagement is critical. We are going to be visiting schools. We are going to be engaging our community, listening to our stakeholders, and student success. This board is committed to student success, turning around academic outcomes for our students and providing the help and supports our staff need to get them there. So I am really, from where it started off and where it is now, that was a lot of work, and more than anything, it brings that layer of accountability and responsibility. And it also, like what Dr. Glitich was talking about, our own employees, the superintendent, this is bringing a layer of accountability and responsibility from the board side to hold the superintendent accountable. And it makes our job of evaluating the superintendent at the end of the year a little bit more based on metrics and measures as opposed to subjective evaluation. With that, again, any other board member comments on this? And this is an item we would have to move to action to adopt it. Director Nelson.
Thank you.
No, yeah, we are going to move it to action, but she wanted to make a comment.
I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Glitich for all the hard work you put into this,
Sure.
and it's fantastic.
Thank you.
So really appreciate your columns of, who's accountable, time frame, responsible, who can be consulted. I mean, so helpful for
Thank you.
us, especially for me as a new board member, to kind of have this guidance also for our vision. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
And it's a guiding document, like you said, for the new superintendent too. Director Bankus.
I also want to add my thanks. It is, especially for new board members coming on board, when we are impacted by so many bits and pieces of information, trying to make them into a holistic picture. And with something that you've presented with us tonight, you have done that for us and for the new superintendent coming through. with measurable metrics, we can, as our board president has said, hold ourselves accountable and keep ourselves focused. And your words will live on past the time at which you are off into the sunset enjoying your retirement, to be kind and to finish strong. That rings true through all of the work that you've done for us. Thank you.
Director Loma.
Priority, they help our decision-making process. You know, in life, when I have a decision to make, I always look at my values. And my values are right out of the Bible. When I have to make a decision, how is it going to affect my value? But the priorities serve us here in the district. Anything we decide, I always look, is that going to help us attain our priority? Whatever it is, I don't care if it's buying a hamburger or whatever. You know what I mean? Any decision I make, so if I have a hard decision, then I turn to our priorities. I say, is it going to help us? Now with this, you took our idea, our concept, you took it and you, like you said, you gave it depth. Because we had a concept and we wanted to do something, but the work you did here, Dr. Gledge, made it deep. You know, that's a superficial picture that's behind Parth, amen. But there's more to that picture, and you defined it for us. And so that is like Lauren said, I know it's a lot of work, and I'm glad you did it for us. So I appreciate it, because I don't know if I could have done that. It was pretty exhaustive here. So thank you, and I'm going to look at it in detail.
Well, it did take a team, and the entire executive team worked with their staff as well, because these are measures that they have to report about themselves. They needed to have a say into what those measures would be based on the objectives that were set.
Yeah.
But it's defined by your indicators. Keep in note, though, that this is not a plan. It's a monitoring report. It's not a strategic plan, and it's nothing like that. All the actions are owned by the staff that has to do the work.
Yeah.
So it's simply that. But it did take a team effort, the entire executive team and their staff.
Yeah, thank you.
And just finishing my thoughts, the other thing that resonated with me, what you said is this is a living document. So there are going to be changes that happen, whether internally with the department or with the new superintendent coming in and taking a fresh set of eyes on it. So with that, seeing no further questions, I need a motion to move this to action.
I move that we move the Board of Education priorities to action.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call, please, Marcella.
Dr. Bankus?
Aye.
Mrs. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Jorgensen?
Aye.
Mr. Loma?
Aye.
Mr. Melpacum?
Aye.
Mrs. Nelson?
Aye.
Mrs. Ott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. So the item has been moved to action. So now I need a motion to adopt the Board of Education priorities.
I move that we adopt the Board of Education priorities.
Second.
Moved and seconded. So the motion is for adopting the Board of Education priorities as presented. Looking to see if there are any discussions. We've had the discussions already, and seeing no further discussions. Roll call, please, Marcella.
Dr. Bankus?
Aye.
Mrs. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Jorgensen?
Aye.
Mr. Loma?
Aye.
Mr. Melpacum?
Aye.
Mrs. Nelson?
Aye.
Mrs. Ott?
Aye.
See, the ayes have it. The Board of Education priorities are adopted, and to indicate and to commit to this Board of Education priorities, I'm going to start off by signing the banner that is behind me, and all board members are invited to sign the banner too as you leave the. But I'm going to start off. Okay, while board members are signing it, request for new agenda items from board. Director Nelson.
I have a couple of things, not for a future meeting, obviously, because we're going on break, but I know in a previous meeting, there was discussion on all of the professional development that's going to be needed with the new math curriculum and best first instruction, all kinds of things, Power School. And that you were working on a calendar, trying to figure out how we're going to accommodate for all that time that is needed in a calendar that maybe isn't there. So I just wondered how that was going.
It's going nicely. Sherry Callback has actually spearheaded all of that work. She's coordinated all of the departments, not only those that are not within her division, but outside division, and it's created a master calendar, and it's still under wraps. I guess we're still working on it, And so she's coordinated efforts from Education Insights from within her own department, so that when we look at professional development, when people return, we know that we're not asking people to be at 2 different places at the same time. So she's worked on that, and I believe it should be almost complete.
Yes, we have July, August, and September completed, and then our next batch of work will be looking at the remainder of the school year, but kicking it off and making sure we're in a good coordinated place and not asking people to be in 2 places at once.
Yeah. Well, and I was curious, I mean, being the treasurer, coming from a budget perspective, if there's something that you're needing funding for asking people to come in extra and having to compensate, for that. Of course, we want to. So just know that we're open to that. We want to support, provide the supports that our staff need. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Okay, I have 4 things. So this is the second. During the bond discussion, so maybe this is an ask for just at some point over the summer we get an email. I would appreciate kind of a breakdown of the $700 million in deferred maintenance and getting a better understanding of what of that is maintenance, like, for example, a new roof, asphalt, AC repair, replacement, and then what are renovations? Some of what was proposed in that workshop was remodeling front entryways and that kind of thing. So I would appreciate just a breakdown when we're talking about over $700 million in deferred maintenance. What exactly are we? And it could be as simple as how percentages or numbers, however you want to deliver it to me. It would just help me to understand. And renovations could include, I know, like having our bathrooms meet ADA compliance. I mean, that's necessary. But then there's also kind of the nice to have remodel of a front entry. So maybe 3 categories in my mind. But
so we use 2.
Okay.
We use capital improvement and capital renewal. Capital renewal is fixing what we already have. Capital improvement is something new.
So like a new AC at a school?
New AC,
Okay.
new security vestibule, new ADA bathroom.
Okay.
So we generally use those 2 categories, but we're working on trying to pull all that together. We got a little bit detoured with the new superintendent contract, but and we still have the fund balance committee in progress, but we know that that's work that needs to be done.
So would like the front entryway fall under capital renewal?
If it's a new entryway, it's capital improvement.
Okay.
If it's fixing something that's already there, it's capital renewal. That's
Okay.
generally the 2 categories we use.
And both those things fall within that 700 million?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Obviously, the vast majority of it is capital renewal as opposed to capital improvement.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Appreciate it.
Oh, don't go.
Nice try. You can go, Sandra.
Do you need to go, Sandra, or she wants to? Okay, Director Beck.
My question has to do with, since you mentioned front entryways, is any of that front entryway remodeling or improvement based on security?
Mm-hmm. It's all based on security.
And so would that move it to the front of the line?
So we have yet to develop the rubric that we will use to evaluate projects. Terry and I talked. We're all very aware of the Uvalde situation. Terry is also submitting security vestibule improvements to the Fund Balance Committee because that committee will probably get funding quicker. We're still in limbo of whether or not we're truly going for a bond issue. So the certainty of funding of those projects is probably I don't know, nebulous at this point until we know more from the board. So we're pursuing the security improvements from the Fund Balance Committee.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Any more future agenda item requests? Okay. Director Nelson.
Just for us board members to be thinking about what we want our school tours to look like next year. Do we want to have it be, we visit 8 schools over the whole year, or do we do a fall and then rotate again in the spring? Just think about it over the summer, and then, when we come back, I don't know if it's a work session or what, that we discuss that. I find it very valuable and fun. I love seeing the students and talking with the staff, and it just is a great reminder of why we're up here. So.
And when we are doing that, we can get a new set of schools that board members
Yes.
can visit, not
Yeah.
the same schools that they visited.
Yeah, I was
last
thinking
year.
that as well.
Yeah.
So then my last thing is it possible to post our board priorities on our website? I think that would be an excellent way for people to see what we're all about, what we're trying to do.
You read my mind. Usually we have a letter in the beginning board docs page, and Ms. Hidalgo has been patient with me. She's been asking me a couple of times in January, and then I think she gave up hope and said, it's up to me. I wanted to get back to her, but I will have some version of the board priorities. Maybe it's just this document posted up there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you. Any further? Seeing none. Calendar review. I have nothing to review, nothing to up there to review. So I want to really thank you guys. This has been hard work the past 4, 5, 6 months out here. Multiple meetings, multiple special meetings, and meeting in a lot of the meetings ran 6, 7 hours. And thank you. And that shows your commitment and dedication to District 11, our students and staff. And it doesn't go unnoticed. And taking the time to visit the schools, participating in graduation ceremonies. I hope you get a break for the next 2 months and relax. At least you don't have to prepare for board meetings and work sessions. You are welcome to come next week and join in that barbecue event outside, but that's the only item on the agenda. With that adjournment, may I have a motion to adjourn? Moved and seconded. Roll call, please, Marissa. I'm already in the summer break. So.
Dr. Bankus?
Aye.
Mrs. Daniels?
Aye.
Mr. Jorgensen?
Aye.
Mr. Loma?
Aye.
Mr. Malpacum?
Aye.
Mrs. Nelson?
Aye.
Mrs. Ott?
Aye.
The ayes have it. We have adjourned at 7:58 p.m.